Hi, Mario.
Hi, Eve. How are you?
I'm very good. Is there a Daf Yomi today?
At 7:30.
Okay.
It's not 7:30 yet, so I'm going to start the
No, no, I
recording.
think I don't think I got a notice of it.
You know,
Yud Gimel,
13.
Yud Gimel 13. Amar Ravasi Bishtar, we have an issue that if you have a loan document, why shouldn't we always be worried that the date the date of the document is 6 months earlier than when it was really funded, and therefore you're gonna if the land there's no lien on the land until it's actually funded, but we're not going to know that because the date says it's 6 months prior. We're going to go grab a piece of land that's been sold to a third party, and we would take it away from him extrajudicially. So the Gemara answers, we don't have to worry about that because we're dealing with a special kind of shtar called Bishtari Hakna, that the love is particularly responsible from the date that it's written, no matter what. It's a personal responsibility. So then there's no problem collecting a piece of land that's been sold from the date. Our Mishnah said like this. It made a distinction. It said, if this loan was documented with a piece of land, we said lo yachzir, you shouldn't return it. Now why? V'ukimna, we set up that case, kishachayiv modeh. The lova admits to borrowing the money. But the problem is, mishum shemakatzav lo'loiva b'nisav lo'lova tishrei. But we're concerned that the date of the shtar is listed 6 months early. V'asi lemitra. And then you're going to come to take the piece of land that was sold, shelo kedin. So, amai lo yasir. Now, if the way you're learning is that we're talking about a shtar hakna, nexi, let's look. Ibishtar hakna, sibud le nafshe. It's a personal responsibility, and the love is going to have to make good no matter when they take the piece of land. And ibishtar de lo hakna like lemechish. If it's not a shtar hakna, then we don't have to worry, because the amr kileka malva badeh lo kasvinan. Because we said if it's not a shtar hakna, we would not write the document unless the malva is there, because you can't write it. Even though if we identify that the shtar is not one of these hakna stars, when do we say that if the malva is not there, we don't write it? But masnisen kivad enofel asrle. This star was found. It was not kept in somebody's safekeeping. Therefore, chayshinan dilme akri v'kosi. Maybe somebody forged it. And that's why we don't be machzir. Abaya Omar, a different answer. Eidav b'chois mavzachin lo. When you have Eidim signing on a star, so they document the shibud. And the shibud starts already from that moment. Afilu star de lavakno, even a regular star. Yishum de kashale, because it was a problem, keeping the amit b'shtar de lavakno. When it's not a star hakno, kilesi lamalva badei lo kasfina, we said, if both the malva and the lov are not there, we wouldn't write such a star. So lek lemechash to akri v'kosuv. So we shouldn't be worried that somebody just went and wrote it. So the chasim of the edim is what is machai. El hadis non. Then why does the following Mishnah say the following? Matzah gite noshim v'shichrei avodim. You find in the marketplace a get saying Chaim Yankel divorces his wife, or a freedom document for Nevin, or daitiki matona, or a will, or a shoivrim, meaning receipts. Lo yas, you should not return it to the name listed there. Shema, Ksuvim Ivanim Lachaleim Shelo Litnim. Maybe whoever contracted to write these documents had in mind to give it, but in the end up he decided not to give it. So they're not really active documents, so we shouldn't give it. So if he changes his mind, why should we be worried? Once you have Eidim, why shouldn't we return it? We said the Eidim take the responsibility. Yeah, that's if one of the parties, the Lover, the Malva, have it. But if a document is found on the floor, it hasn't reached one of the parties, then you can't say such a spot. Okay. Elamas Nisan, our Mishnah, Diktani. Motzei Shtarechov. You have a loan document found in the street. We said, if there is a shibud on a piece of land backing up the loan, don't return it to the parties. V'ukimna, we established the case, kishachayev moide. This is a case where the borrower admits that he borrowed the money. It's not counterfeit. So why are we not machzir? Why don't we return it? Because the loan says January 1, but it was not funded until July 1. And maybe in the interim, the piece of land was sold to somebody else. There's no shibud on it because there's no shibud unless there's funding. And then improperly, we would go with this shtar and take the land away from the person who legitimately bought it. Now, how does this all work? Bishlam Ravasi. Ravasi said that if a borrower admits that, yes, I borrowed this money, and you can write it for the lover, a loan, that's b'shtar haknisa. We said a shtar hakna, where you're allowed to collect right from the beginning. So what's our case where we say lo yachzir? Muki la b'shtar de lava knisa. Not such a shtar, an open-ended shtar that was not coined right from the get-go. Ukidamrina, like we explained. Elala baya. Abaya was mataritz our problem by saying when you have Eidim signing on a shtar, you can already collect from day one. So how would you explain our Mishnah? My Ikla, why shouldn't you be machzir it? Because you'd be able to collect from a piece of land that was stolen, that was sold prior to the loan being funded. Abaya. A different issue, why we don't give the shtar back to the parties. Listen to this. We're concerned that the borrower and the lender are pulling a con job. They have a conspiracy. Even when the loan admits to the loan, we're concerned that he's going to pay it back after, right, that they're going to sell the property and get it back from that guy because the Malva is going to claim he didn't get it. He'll go to the guy who bought the piece of land that the Lova had, and then they'll divide the money between them. So that's why we're concerned about corruption. However, fine. According to that shita, we don't return the shtar. But according to Shmuel, where we don't worry about such a far-fetched notion, then why don't we return the shtar? How do we explain the Mishnah? If we said that the Mishnah is talking about a specific shtar, like we said, a shtar akno, where you write a shtar for the lover without the malva because the responsibility is accepted right away. So then muki mastis is b'shtar lavakno. So the Mishnah can be learned because we're talking about a shtar that's not a hakno. Then you could have that 6-month differential where somebody could get defrauded. Yisavar Ka'abaya, who said Edav B'chsumim Zachin, where based on the Edav you can collect from day one, then Michael Amema, you should be able to return the document. So Shmuel Mokil Maslisin Kshein Chayv Moed. Shmuel can set up the Mishnah where the borrower claims, I never borrowed a penny. It's counterfeit. So therefore, we can't return it. Ihachi, if the borrower is not admitting to the loan, then why should there be a difference? Ein ben achreis nechasim. Remember we said, if there's land behind this supporting the loan, we don't return. But if there's no land, all he has is metaltalin to give back. There we said you could be machzir. But if the if the borrower is denying the loan, am I yasir? Nihila the government mishabadi, fine. You can't use such a note to collect from land that was previously sold. But free and clear assets that he has right now, they'll be able to take illegally from him. So Shmuel Tamei, the Omer Shmuel, Omer Hayir of Meir, Shtarchov she'ein b'achrayis nechasim, ein govil lo mishabadi v'lo v'chayri. A shtarchov not written with some kind of guarantee, you can't collect with such a star, not from pieces of land that had a lien, and not from metal. Well, the chimachar sheina goyve, amay yachzir. The Mishnah said, if there's no achrayis nechasim, you can return it. But if we hold like Rav Meir, we said such a star you can't collect from anything, why are you returning it? What is returning it going to accomplish? On Rav Nasan Barishaya, Lotzral Pitz L'chosa Shemalva. It's just going to be used as a piece of paper that he can cork up one of his wine bottles. The star is no good to collect from. So you notice, we say you give it to the lender. Why do you give it to the lender? Why should we give it to the borrower to use for a stopgap for his bottles? Because the loiva is claiming, I never borrowed any money. It was counterfeit. So the piece of paper doesn't belong to him either. So you give it to the malva who claims that there was a loan. But that's all he gets. He doesn't have the ability to collect from it. Okay. Rav Elazar. So our Mishnah has a machlokes, b'she'ein chayav modeh, where the lovet does not admit to the law. He claims it's all counterfeit. Shrameir savar, shtar shein b'achrayis nechasim ein agav lo min shebari v'lo min nechayim. A star without achrayis nechasim, without a mortgage, without a piece of land backing it up, such a star, if it doesn't have it, you can't collect either from land or from metal.
So why would someone initiate such a star?
He's desperate. It's like a what do you call it? A high interest loan, a hard money lender. He's willing to do it.
No, the risk is on the malva.
He's still willing to do it because he's getting a high interest.
Even though the collection of
why would a
worthless, when we just said it's only work as a court stop, so how does he collect his money?
But Kenny, these hard money lenders, they're lending to people.
No, they're mishubad.
Right.
They've got parka.
Hold on a second.
Based on what? They have no shibud. Those people have no land, they have no house, they have no nothing. But they'll pay 40% interest because they have no collateral.
I don't know any hard money lender that lends for 40% interest.
Or whatever, 20%.
They don't get a back. If you don't get a backup, they don't lend you money. Stop. Yeah, there's a backup.
There's all these small money, these $1,000 loans. It's a whole new business in the Caribbean.
$1,000 loan is not the same as if I. Yeah, but
still, a $1,000 loan without collateral, they're collecting 20% on. That's a whole business. Go to listen to Swish Funding. That's Joel Bess's business. What are you talking about? That's exactly what's going on. There's no collateral. And that's the only way they can get a loan is paying high interest. It's legal. Why else would a malva loan money if there's no shibud? How is he going to collect?
I know, that's what I'm asking you. I mean, the loan is not collectible on. It's a worthless piece of paper.
There's a documentation of a loan, and the expectation is going to be paid back. He can't collect with it if the guy refuses to pay back. But if he's willing to pay back, somebody's willing to make a loan like that, but he'll charge a much higher interest rate.
Ernie, so we're talking here about loans made by Jews to Goyim, right? Not Jews to Jews.
Well, Jews to Jews, a Jew is not allowed to charge interest to another Jew.
Yeah, but if he has a heta iska, maybe he made the guy sign a heta iska.
Exactly.
He made him sign a heta iska.
A very favorable one.
Right. Yeah.
It's a malval peh without aiding. People did oral loans. Basically, that we're talking about a malval peh where there's no shtar that documents anything. Yeah,
we do that all the time in the diamond business.
And people did it all the time. There was
no, we do that all the time. We give out diamonds. The guy doesn't even sign a note, says Mazel and Brocha, and you pray that you're going to get paid.
Malval peh, Rashi. It may not loiva noiden. The loiva doesn't admit the shtar the loy shibir b'nechasim lav shtaruhu. Who can malval peh v'shein alav eidim. So there were loans like this done all the time. How many people had land that they could use as collateral for a loan? You know the society, the aristocracy. The aristocracy had land. Well,
everybody
when they came into Eretz Yisrael, yes, because each shevet got a piece, but that got lost after Yomi some shevet. They came back.
I got it.
And there was strata, social strata, wealthy. The word aristocracy, they had land. Nobody else had land. And that happened in Europe, the feudal society. It was the same story. But Kenny asked good. That's what it is. It's a malval peh. Now, that's Rav Meir. Rabbanan Savri, that there is a to'elet to writing a shtar, even though it's not backed by land. You hear, Kenny? Meaning, the guy's metaltalin, the sheriff would go into his house and take metal. So now we understand what a shtar she'ein bo achrayus that had power. Now you could go and collect. The sheriff would come and collect. And
so why then on the previous day we said it was for a sluchis, that it was a bottle stopper?
But Reb Meir holds, not like the Chachamim, that you can collect not from land and not from metaltalin. According to that shita, then what's the point? So why we return? The Mishnah said you return such a shtar. What are you returning it for? You can't do anything with it. But that's according to Reb Meir. Then you could use it as a bottle stopper, according to that shita. And that's what Rabbi Lozer is explaining here. That our Mishnah, where there's a machlokes, that's when the Lova claims this was counterfeit, and he never borrowed any money. And there is a shtar, but the shtar had no achrayus, and such a shtar you can't collect from. And Rabbanan Savri, but you could collect from a top. Aval kishachayev moide, and then there was a machlokes in the Mishnah: should you return it? Should you not return? But if the borrower admits to borrowing the $1,000, he doesn't say it was counterfeit. I borrowed the money, but I paid it back. And what happens when you pay back a loan? The malva gives the lova back the note, because who holds the note? The lender. And then when it comes time to repay, the lova repays, and the malva gives the lova back the shtar. And the lova, if he was smart, would tear it up. He didn't tear it up. And then he lost it. It was dropped in the market and somebody picked it up. That's the case we're dealing with. But the lova here isn't denying that a loan happened. The loan happened, but I paid it back. I didn't destroy it and I lost it. That's the case. And in that case, divrei hakol yachzir. There's no machlokes. If you find such a note, you should give it back. Now, V'loy chayshin lepiron. Why aren't we worried? Maybe the lova is right. He paid it back. We're not choishish for that. And we're not choishish for kinyuna either. There's conspiracy between the malv and the lova that they're doing some kind of aroma that they're going to cheat the guy who bought that piece of land and divide the money between them. That's Rabbi Lazar. But Rav Yochanan Omar, hum fakir. The machlokes is keshechayev moide. When the lova admits that there was a loan, that it was not counterfeit, but he paid it back. Shurab Meir Saver starcha in Bachrais Nechasim, Mimishibadi Hudulagavi, Avab in Nechoi Magvagabi. Here we switch the shitas. Rab Meir holds that a star without a chrayas, you cannot collect from land, but you can collect from a tatlin. Rabbanon Savri, Mishabi Nami Gabi. So here, it's more lenient in both directions. That prior, we said, Rav Meir says you can't collect anything from it. And the Chachamim say you can only collect metaltalin. In the way Rav Yochanan learns, that Rav Meir at least lets you collect from metaltalin. And Rabbanon say you can even collect from mishubadim, even though the shtar doesn't document a piece of loan, a piece of land. And then if the borrower had land and it sold it off, after the loan was funded, the mother would be able to take that piece of land back. All of this is in cases where the borrower admits to borrowing the money. But if the lover says, "Lo hayu dvarim ba'olam," it was never a loan here. Divra kol lo yachzir. So then everybody holds you don't return the shtar to the malveh. The chayshinan lepiron. We're concerned that the lovei nechanami paid it back. Tanya Kaveh Rav Yochanan. There's a brisa to support Rav Yochanan, and Tiyuf did Rabbi Lazar b'chada. It's going to be a kasha Rabbi Lazar in one way, with Tiyuf did Shmuel b'tarti, and it'll be a kasha and Shmuel in two ways. What's the brisa? Tanya. Matzah shtar chov v'yesh ben achrayis nechasim. You find a shtar, and it says there was a piece of land backing up the loan. Both the Malva and the Lova agree that a loan was made here. Lo yaksir, lo lezev, lo lezev. We don't return it to either party. Ein b'machrais nechasim. If the shtar documents a loan without piece of land, so bisman shalav moda. If the borrower admits to the loan, yaksir, you give it back to the lender to collect from it. But if the borrower denies, then lo yaksir lo lezev lo lezev div Rab Meir. You don't return it to either party. Shahai Rab Meir oimer. A star sheyesh ben achrayis nechasim. A star that was backed by land, goyvim and chas mishubad. You can collect from even land that was sold off. If it's not backed by a piece of land with a mortgage, you at least can collect from the tatul. You can collect both. You can collect from both asset classes. So this is a strong kasha to Rabbi Lazar b'chada. Rabbi Lazar said that Rab Meir starts in b'chais nechasim ain't a govim nechasim mishubadim v'lo nechasim neichayrin. And Rabbi Lazar said further, "V'ka'amar bein Rav Meir bein Rabban lo chashin lekinyuna." We're not concerned about some kind of conspiracy between the love and the malva. But the baraisa ktani shtar she'ein bo achrayis nechasim, a shtar that's written without land, mimishibadi hudelo gavi, you can't collect from land, but but you can collect from a tatalin. Uktani bein Rav Meir bein Rabbanon chashin lekinyuna. We are concerned about conspiracy, that they're doing some kind of thing, that they're going to split the difference when they take the land back from the guy who innocently bought the piece of land. And we said, Lo yachzir lo lezev lo lezeh, alma chayshin lekinyuna. which is a kasha on Rabbi Elazar from the Baraisa. Vaha hani tartihu. Why is it only one kasha on Rabbi Elazar? It should be two kashas. And we'll go into why there should be two kashas tomorrow. Okay. So